Hello, my name is Kayla Forbes, Agent Success Manager with Jodapris, and welcome to Jodapris Live Talk. I and everyone here at Jodapris would like to thank you for watching our channel from wherever you are on the globe. Jodapris Live provides you with an abundance of knowledge and advice pertaining to business and more to help improve your quality as an entrepreneur and your life outside of the job. This webinar, hosted by Jodapris IMBS, was such a pleasure to join, and we had an amazing time talking and learning. But don't worry if you didn't make it. We have here an opportunity for you to listen and take action. This webinar you're about to listen to talks about the fundamentals between branding and marketing in the business world. Our CEO, Dr. Osako Marie Djemo, told us about the importance of branding and marketing as an entrepreneur or business owner. You need to raise your level of branding in your business to in turn raise the power of your marketing strategies. This will let you improve your growth and bottom line. Our clients get a competitive edge by using our marketing consulting services. In this webinar, you will learn how to prepare your mind with Rikki Smith, Chief Training Officer at Stratus Training Consulting, LLC. Gain clarity in business with Andra Talor, CEO of TaylorMade Global. And last but certainly not least, you will learn about content marketing from Leslie Jean Baptiste, the CEO of Teen Genius Marketing. So now, with no further ado, settle in and get ready to expand your knowledge. Enjoy.
Thank you, Louis. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Perfect. All right, so as you know, my name, I did hear everybody. My name is Dr. Osako Marie. Usually I stop by Marie Djemo, because I grew up being called Marie. So sometimes Osako is kind of a paperwork name. I forgot that it's part of my name. But some people like calling me Osako, how are you? I like it, so that's me. All right, so I want to welcome you to this webinar. I know that today we've lost a lot of time already. We're going to just go and jump into it so that we can see how much value we can get out of this webinar. We're gonna be talking about branding and marketing. The hosting company is Jodapris. Jodapris is an international company. It's an international marketing business solution company. We are located here in the United States and in South Africa. As you see, Theo is there. He's the operation manager over there. And there it's nice already, so other people kind of cannot come in. And then we kind of going to remind everybody and say, hey, you need to push your sleeping time so that you can attend the meeting, because it's valuable. So we're trying to grow, and by God's grace, next month we're going to open the Nairobi office, and we're growing. So we're looking to grow with a lot of companies, and we're learning every day. And we know that for us to learn, we need to build a strong brand, and we need to have strategies in marketing that will kind of give us a clear understanding of where we're going, where are the customers, how can we meet them. And that is the reason why we are here today, so that we can see how can we grow together as a community in the business, not just running, following where is the money hiding. All right. So I'll go ahead and bring up my presentation here, and then we can get going. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. We know that the father of marketing and branding strategies is Philip Kotler. And there's so much that we can talk about when we're talking about marketing, when we're talking about branding. There's so much that we can explain, so much that we can discuss. But I'm going to kind of just pinpoint few things that I feel like they are fundamental in growing a business, in sustaining what you have. And then we have Rikki, Leslie, and Andre who will jump in and bring in some value. And everybody, feel free to ask questions. Feel free to bring in your expertise, because I heard Louis there. He has tons of experience, and he has some experience that he can throw on the platform as well. So everybody that has been in the business, or everybody that is here, somehow you have something that you can bring on the in the platform, so that we can add value to what we're building in today. So my reflection here is there a difference between branding and marketing? When we're talking about branding versus marketing, is there a difference? As a marketer, as a business owner, what do you think goes through your mind when we say, oh, is your business successful? Do you think that we're talking about is the branding of your business or the marketing of your business is successful? Or are you just looking into the bottom line of your business? So we want to understand what makes your business successful. What makes your business sustainable? So that is kind of where we're going with this discussion. Most of the time when we throw out there my brand, I've got a brand in my business. When we talk about this large corporation, my son can say, oh, I want to buy Nike. Nike, does he know when it started? He doesn't know. But he knows the logo. When he sees the logo, he will say, oh, that is a Nike. That is, we see that we want to buy some drink. Oh, that's a Coca-Cola. Even a little kid can recognize that brand. They don't care how much it costs. They don't care how it got in front of them. They don't care which marketing process was used or strategies that was used to bring that product to them. Once you mention Coca-Cola, they know what it is. So now my question to you, do you have a brand in your business? When we're asking about the brand business, the branding of your business, do you just think of a logo? Do you just think of a strategy? The value that your business is bringing? The design that you did put in place for you to get your services out there? Or are you referring to your identity? What is your business, the branding identity that you have? Or you're just thinking, it's just marketing in general. When I'm talking about marketing, it kind of includes everything. When I'm thinking of branding, marketing jumps on top of my head. Is that correct? So that is an idea that I want to bring a clear understanding between branding and marketing. Is it just one word that we can use? I can use branding as a marketing or marketing as branding, or is there like a clear difference between these two words? When I throw out, I say marketing strategy. What is the marketing strategy of your business? Some people can talk to me and say, oh, I run some social media to market my business. I prefer the offline integration. I think I just drive traffic to my business. I have a website. I have some planning that I do. I have some conversion data, analytics. The word sounds good, analytics. It's kind of cool. But what is marketing strategy? How do you define that? So I'll start with branding, because in this presentation, I'll kind of focus more in branding, and I'll leave most of the marketing to my contributors so that they can bring in what they can to add to this sauce. So when we look at Philip Kotler and Keller, they are the mentors in marketing. How do they define branding? So I wanted just to quote what they're saying. For them, branding is endowing products and services with the power of a brand. In other words, because that is kind of too much, And I don't know how much you can understand from that definition. So I kind of went down to see it. In other words, how can I define what they just said? So according to Kotler and Taylor again, they say branding is the process of giving meaning to a specific organization, company, product, or service by creating and shaping a brand in consumer mind. When I look at that definition, it's still a little bit too much for me. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna break it according to Dr. Marie. What is branding? So according to me, I'm just gonna make it just plain and simple. Branding is about defining who you are as a company. Who are you as a company? When I look at your company, can I define your company just by looking at you? If you want to put out there a brand, a strong brand, first of all, we need to understand, do you have any mission in your business? Do you have value? What is the value that you're communicating? What makes you special out there? What makes you unique? We are in consulting business. How many consultants do we have out there? Plenty of consulting companies. Ms. Smith is telling me, I'm here. Yeah, definitely. Just in this meeting, we have more than 2 consultants. So what makes you think that I will just leave every consultant that I know and come to you? Your brand, that's what makes us stand out. My brand makes me stand out. Your brand makes you stand out. So we need to understand, am I making clear mission in my business? What is my mission? What are the values that I'm bringing on the market? And what makes me special? If somebody has to come to me, what is that item that can make them come to me? Now, after understanding the branding, now I want to understand the marketing. What is marketing? Kotler defines marketing as a process that is used to regulate which product or service may be of interest to customers. I understand that. Do you understand it? It's kind of too much words, right? Kind of too much words. And then I'm like, okay, let me dig a little bit. I want to kind of break it a little bit down for Kotler. Just using his own words, what does he understand by marketing? And down he explains, he says marketing is a responsible, the action of marketing is responsible of determining the strategy that you can use to make sales, to communicate, as well as to develop your business. Any strategies, any tool that you can use to make sales or to communicate the value that you have, the mission that you have with your business to your customers, he defined that as marketing. Now, on my end, I take all the knowledge I have and just try to set it in basic understanding, and I can define marketing as the set of tools. You know, all the tools that we use, the process that we go through, the strategies that we go through. Those processes, those tools, we use them actively to promote the products, the services, and the company. So that is my simple understanding of marketing. All right, Glenda, thank you so much for your comment there. So I want you to stick around. There are a lot of values coming in. All right, so now we have an understanding of branding and we have an understanding of marketing. So now, if we try to pull what makes the difference between branding and marketing? Is there something that makes it that we can just catch the difference between the two? So branding is related to your key brand element. When you look at somebody before they can even put their business out there, what do they tell us? You need to put together a website. You cannot go out and you want people to know who you are. You need to put together a website. You need to have a logo. You need to kind of stand out of the crowd. That is good. That is the beginning. The brand, it's not just the logo. The brand is not just the website. But all of these, they are part of your brand. There are tools that come together to sustain your brand. Now, what is marketing? We gave the definition earlier, but the marketing is that action that you take to connect your customers with the product that you are selling. So you have the product, you have the services. How do you get to those customers? How do you get them to buy your services? The tool that you use, the process you use, the communication you bring together, that is the marketing strategy that you're putting down. So now, with those two, I would say that the marketing is what gets people to engage with your company for the first time, while branding is what keeps them coming back for a long time. So when you have a strong brand, people will come to you over and over again because they identify themselves with not only what you are offering as service, but with your the person that you are, that you're reflecting, the value that you're bringing through your company. I can only buy from the person that I resonate with. If I feel like you are in my shoes, I'll come back again. But if I just need a t-shirt, I can go to Walmart and just buy a t-shirt. But if Walmart is selling the t-shirt and I know that Kayla is selling also the same t-shirt and I can get a connection with Kayla, I'll more likely buy longer with Kayla than going to Walmart. All right. So out of that, I want to bring this up here. How do you use both to develop your business strategy? Because we understand that there is a difference between branding and marketing, but branding and marketing cannot be separated. You use them hand in hand to make sure that your business is successful. Your business cannot be successful if you only focus on branding or you only focus on marketing. You need to put both together so that you can be successful. Your marketing strategy will successfully promote your products or services only if your branding is actively shaped by your brand. So if your branding is, it's not an action that you only do once. I did build my website once and I'm good. I have a logo that talks about me, I'm good. Branding is more than that. And you need to brand and rebrand and rebrand. Why? Because if you've been in business for quite some time changes. Right now we are in a digital world. But a couple of years, like when around 2000, we were not in the digital world. We were like in an information world. So what was valuable there is no longer valuable here. In around 2000, if you have an information, everybody can run to you because you are a doctor, because you have this expertise. But right now, most of this information, I don't even have to go to get the degree to have it. I can go. I always say YouTube is like a university. If I don't know something, I'll go, let's go YouTube it. We're gonna YouTube it. You have valuable information in there. But still, you need a power of a human to understand a lot of things, but the basics, I can still get it from YouTube. So with the digital, I can search a lot of information online and get most of what I'm looking for. So if you are static with your brand, you will lose power very soon, because companies are just growing on the market. They're just growing just like that. And you want to find a way to keep yourself live. You want to keep yourself relevant. You want to keep yourself sustainable so that you can continue growing. And most of the time, when you build yourself, your brand, you want also to check with other people out there. You want to check with consultants. You want to check with other companies. What can I add as value to my business so that I can stay relevant on the market? So for you to be able to develop a very strong and very successful business strategy, you need to have strong mind on the marketing strategies and on the branding strategies. Use them together. So I'll put together just quickly some couple of facts. I had a very interesting conversation with somebody on Alignable. They say, "Oh, Dr. Marie, I don't believe that branding is as much important as marketing. You need, first of all, to market your business, and then try to figure out how you can brand it." And I'm like, I cannot tell you what to do. But what I can say is that branding comes first and marketing comes second. Because you need to identify who you are before you can start telling people, okay, here are my products, here are my services. Can you come and buy it? You can post flyers everywhere. You can put your publicity everywhere. You can promote your business the way you want. But when those people get to you, what is the value that you're going to give them? So you want to make sure that you have a strong brand before you can start promoting your services or your product or your company, wherever you're promoting. You want to start with branding. Brand your business. Brand your, give yourself a space. I like the story of the lion. My son, when he was little, less than a year, every time he will hear the movie Simba on TV, he will run from wherever he is to come and watch that movie. Simba! Trying to talk. Sometimes we don't even understand what he's saying, but he could recognize Simba. And Simba, that is a lion. And by the way, Simba, I always think maybe they just borrowed that word in Swahili, because Simba is lion in Swahili. And they say Hakuna Matata in that movie. That is Swahili. So when you take the story of a lion, when you are in the jungle, the lion, he has his foot down. When they call him the king of the jungle, it's because when the lion is there, everybody knows that the lion is there. The way he rolls, the way he walks, everything that he does makes everybody know that he's there, the king is there. And when he's not there, even if it's time for meeting, everybody has to wait. That is authority. So we want you to bring your business in a place that you have authority on the market. This meeting is to empower you. You've been in business for quite some time. Great. But we want you, after this meeting, we want to make sure that Okay, I'll answer some of these questions when I finish so that I don't lose the flow, if that's okay. So when the lion is there, he has authority, and we want to have authority on the market. And the authority is given by the brand that you have, your mission on the market. If you understand your brand, you will be able to communicate to your customer. If you don't understand what you're doing, it's even hard for you to sell because it's hard for you to understand, first of all, yourself. How can you explain it to other people? So you want to take time in polishing your brand, polishing your understanding, your value, your mission. When you get that, then you can now run into promoting the business. So branding comes first and then marketing comes second. Marketing drives the sales. You may have a strong brand. If your marketing is not good, nobody will know about you. You may have this fancy office, you will have this fancy product or whatever it is, but if your marketing strategies are not good, you're not making any sales. And branding drives recognition and loyalty. So when you have a strong brand, you have customers who stays loyal to you for a number of years. They come to you, they feel like you meet their needs and they can recognize themselves into your values. They will be coming back and back again. They will be sending you people. So the marketing strategies are there to drive yourself, but your branding is there to kind of give you authority on the market so that your customers are loyal and you have that recognition badge on the market. Marketing gets customers' attention, but branding, what does branding do? Branding is a way to keep their attention. When the customer comes to you, maybe because they saw an advertisement on TV, or they saw a flyer that you did put on Facebook. Those are vehicles that are bringing them to you. Now, when they get to you, you have to find a way to keep those customers, to retain those customers, and only your brand can retain them. Marketing strategies, they flip, they come and go. Why? Because with time, with the digital coming in, with a lot of people jumping in the market, you need to change your marketing strategies more often. You need to pivot them. The marketing strategies may be working for 2 years, 3 years. Now, after a certain time, it's gonna fade away. You need to pivot that and find what is working. And the best example is COVID-19. There are businesses who were very successful just in brick and mortgage. But with COVID, all the doors are closed. How are you going to continue with your business? They had to pivot to figure out how to be online. There are businesses who didn't care if they had a website. But with COVID, they needed to figure out how to have a website. So marketing strategies, you can change them depending on what is happening on the market. But what comes to the branding? Even though we say that you can brand and rebrand, but it's going to stay the same message for a long time. Your brand, that's what is defining you. So if I have this definition of I bring clear water, my water has to stay clean. It has to stay clear. Now tomorrow I'm bringing green water. After tomorrow, red water. No. My brand has to stay clear. Branding has just as much of an impact on your team as it is on the customers. So as a company, when you're thinking of branding, it doesn't only imply you. And I'm working in a way that I can keep my brand in the US and in South Africa, in everywhere where I can be, how can I keep the branding at the same level? It's not easy because I always admire McDonald's. Everywhere you go with McDonald's, they successfully establish their brand. Either you are here, you are in South Africa, you are in Congo, you are where, you will recognize that is McDonald's without a doubt. That is how we want to build our small businesses. We want our small businesses to be built with strategies that will be sustainable for a long, long time and stay the same if we can. So now I'm just going to put an emphasis on brand strategies. We have different brand strategies. For you to be able to create a strong brand, how do you create your brand? You can have a brand that is related to the architecture. You have a brand that is positioning your statement. You have a brand that is related to your personality and to the promise. So I'm going to kind of break down. When we're talking about the brand architecture refers to the structure of brand within a business. This can include your corporate, products, and other brands that have a direct involvement in the functioning of a business. Now, we have three types of brand architecture. You can have the corporate brand, the product brand, and the endorsed brand. There are companies that are known by their corporate brand. For instance, when I talk about, which example can I say? Walmart. When I talk about Walmart has a corporate brand. When we say Walmart, you know already what we're telling. Now, when we talk about product brand, the brand is defined on the product. When we're talking about Coca-Cola, that is a drink. They define, the company define their brand on their product. When I'm talking about Coca-Cola, I see the product, and even though it's in a bottle or in a can, it's still a brand that is related to their product. And we have some other companies that have like endorsed brands. They will take probably.
No one, the customers, could not imagine that brand selling a hot dog. It came back in 2009, and it still did not do well. At that time, Ray Kroc said, you know what, forget it. It's not going to work for us because it's not our brand. I like what Dr. Marie said about branding comes before marketing. This is how I put this together. You get dressed before you go outside. Getting dressed is your brand. Going outside is marketing. So if you went outside first without getting dressed, well, you'll get plenty of attention, and what you may get may not be what you want. So keep that in mind. In order to have a brand, you need to get yourself dressed first. You cannot successfully market if you don't have any clothes on, depending on what you're trying to sell. So the power of branding comes from inside you. Who you are is who people are going to buy from, who people are going to sell to, and who people are going to collaborate with. So it is important to have a solid brand. How do you determine what your brand is? Dr. Marie did a phenomenal job talking about what branding is. But where does that brand come from? Like I said, it comes from in you. How do you find it? It's simple. These are some things that I did when I first started to come up with my brand. First thing I did was wrote down what my attributes were. What is it that I'm good at? What am I naturally gifted at? I can chat, I can do some hair, write down what your attributes are. And then write down your abilities. What is it that you're good at? What is it that's going to make you special, make you stand out, make you unique? And then what are your abilities? What can your experiences, what have you done? Where have you been? Who has seen you? What has shaped the person that you are? All of this will be put together, and then that'll show up as your values. What do values do for you? Values keep you on task. They will keep you from chasing money. When I do my trainings, especially when I'm doing trainings for small businesses, people who are looking for their clientele, I tell them a couple things, and I do speak a lot to women. There is enough money, men, and shoes out there. We don't need to tackle anybody for anything. If you are true to your brand, true to your values, true to who and what you are, your money will find you. Knowing who you are on your inside will keep you from running around in circles, chasing and looking for money. Why? Because people will find and chase after you when you are true to who and what it is you do. Another thing about branding versus marketing, if you know what your brand is, you now know your niche. You hear a lot about your niche this, your niche that. People who don't know what their niche is and you ask them, who is your client? You'll hear this a lot. Everybody. Everybody? Really? So everybody is your client. Not necessarily true. That tells you that that particular individual may not know who they are, because when you know who the you are, you're not chasing everybody. You don't want to do business with everybody. There are people out there who are coaches, who are technical people, and they are great at what they do. And you can ask any individual business owner, any startup, ask them to give you a horror story about a client, because they got them. And when you listen deep enough to that story, you will find out that they ended up doing business with someone that was not part of who they are, didn't believe the same things that they believe, didn't particularly care for what you as an individual brand meant. They wanted your service. Great, they may have paid you, but you also have a horror story that you tell over and over and over. But here's the thing, when you think about the horror story that you're telling about the client that you worked with, that horror story is actually more about you than them. Why? Because you're saying they were horrible, when in actuality, you were the one that tricked them. You made them believe that you were someone that you weren't. You made them think that you were able to be what it is that they wanted to be, when in actuality, you had pushed who you are aside. Being a brand is a mindset. It comes from a place, and it comes from the place in you. I'm a big, huge cartoon fan. So if anybody remembers Captain Planet, that was so fun back in the day. Thank you. I appreciate you out there, Lou and JR. I appreciate you. Captain Planet had this to say: the power is yours. Your brand is who you are. It is all about you. When I'm walking around, I'm one of the ABB people, always be branding. So I have my shirts on, I will have cards with me, I have my whole thing. But when they see me, when they meet me, they are wanting to do business with who? With my shirt? No. With my card? No. They want to do business with me. Why? They like my energy, they like my swag, they like the way I dress, whatever it is that they're liking. But that comes from in me. And when I am true to myself, true to my brand, true to my craft, I am able to get clients all the time. I close deals really well because I know who I am. And a person who understands who they really are and what they love and how good they are at what they do, it's easy sometimes to turn a client away. I know most business owners are like, turn away a client? Well, I would never. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Turn a client away. Turn a client away.
I would never.
Why?
That was great.
I know. Lord, clutch my
You've got some
pearls.
great quotes. What was that first one? There's enough wine, shoes, and men.
Yeah, wine, men, and shoot.
I want to put that in my next book.
That's
that was
on you.
Brilliant.
It's shoes, men's, and money. But hey, I'm down with a glass of wine. I will never, ever turn that down. But turning a client away isn't saying that you don't want their money or their money is bad. What that is saying is, you don't match me. I can't get with you. We can't do business. I can't deal with all of this right here. If you are hard up for money, money is all you'll have. Nobody wants just money. When you are building a business, when you are building your brand, when you are coming from a real, authentic place, that stuff means something to you. How many of you guys, just by a show of hands if you can, have done something for less than your regular fee? Yeah? Why? Because you liked that person, because you believed in that project, because you knew that the exposure was going to be important, and mostly because it made your heart happy, right? You can walk away sometimes with less money, but feeling so much better. Why? Because it had to do with me. And sometimes what will happen is that person that you may have done that thing for less money will turn you on to somebody who's going to pay your full fee, because they have an amazing story about what you did for them, how you made them feel, how great the experience was for you. It's important to know who you are. You're not going to be McDonald's. All right, like I said, y'all now know I'm a McDonald's fan. I like a #1, thank you very much, with an apple pie. But McDonald's, Burger King, when nobody went out of business and everyone's selling a hamburger, what's the difference? Their flavor, their brand, their interest in people. Chick-fil-A sells chicken. Chick-fil-A sells chicken. So does KFC, so does Popeyes. And ain't nobody went out of business because someone's doing it with me. Everyone's doing it with you, but nobody's doing it just like you. Your flavor is different. Your mindset is fire. What you bring to the table, this is what I used to tell my kids. When you come to the table, bring the whole meal. What does that mean? Bring who you are, who you've been, and who you want to be. Bring all your experiences, your hurts, your heartaches, your pain. That is what people are going to buy, and that is going to be your brand. So if you're not sure who you are, if you're not sure what it is and who it is you want to sell to, start writing some things down. These 3 things: your attributes, your abilities, and your experiences. Those 3 things, you will start to see your value. Then when you see your value, your brand will take shape, and you'll realize who you want to do business with, not who you have to do business with. That's my time, y'all. That's it.
Wow, very powerful. Very powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a strong presentation. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir.
Andre, ball is in your camp.
I'm sorry?
Andre.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. All right. Okay. Am I able to share my screen? Or no? I did have a simple presentation. I can go without it.
It's disabled right now, but she can enable it if she wants to.
While she does that, Rikki, powerful. Powerful. A lot of nuggets in there. I'm like, okay, she just, like, between Dr. Marie and Rikki, they done did my whole presentation. Now I don't even know what to talk about no more. Look. What's going on here?
We know you got something, Andre. Quit playing.
All right.
You got this.
So I'll just go ahead and get started for the sake of time. And again, I'm loving everything that I'm saying. Again, Dr. Marie is just dropping it off. She's really breaking that thing down, and all that stuff is super true. Rikki, I love the way you were illustrating the stories and how you were connecting the dots. I've since kind of went away from McDonald's, so you might not like me, because I got a weird relationship. I'm like, it ain't real food. But, that's another story. We'll argue that later. But no, you're right. McDonald's brand, their process is extremely solid. That's why they have stood the test of time, and they reign triumphant over the decades. So definitely an excellent example.
That's because they can afford a bigger hammer, right? We are small businesses. We need a much sharper nail.
Absolutely. But they did start small, right? That's a great takeaway. All right, so real quick, I want to just talk about three things. I want to talk about clarity. That's actually one of my favorite things. Number two, I want to talk about your brand story. And number three, I want to talk about or close on marketing. So clarity to me is a major, major key. So I work with a bunch of small businesses throughout the land. And every time I get with them, whether it's to work on a web design project or branding, etc., you know what I always discover? And it's kind of been the theme going around is like, there's been like a lack of clarity. And it's quite interesting because, you know, people have I want to say the guts, you know, the grit to go ahead and step out and start your enterprise, which I think I salute you. If you're the person that says, you know what, I'm actually going to step out by faith. I love what I do. I'm passionate about it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my best foot forward. I think you're beating like a whole ton of people in the world, because a lot of people, they don't have that in them to do that, right? They actually desire probably a little bit more safety, a little bit more consistency, which is what the 9-to-5 brings. But for us entrepreneurs, us business owners, we're the risk takers, right? We're the crazy people. We're saying, you know what? I have a great idea, a thought, an invention, or whatever it is, an innovation I want to bring to the world, you know, and I'm crazy enough to actually step out and do it. But here is the caveat.
There's a big caveat there. Right? Go for it.
I didn't realize this is actually a business. I didn't realize there's a science to this, and there's a whole entire process that people have developed over maybe a millennia, you know, to get to a place called success. And so when I think about success, I always point to clarity. Now, if you know anything about Andre, you know that my rearing is goal setting, goal training, goal smashing, if you will. So I'm a goal-oriented person since the age of a teenager. And so I'm glad that I was, because I was able to pick up a lot of fundamental things when it comes to planning. And so when I think about entrepreneurs and startups and things like that, I think about planning, more specifically a business plan or a marketing plan. And a lot of times those two are attached at the hip. And so when I think clarity, I definitely want to touch on number one, a business plan. Why a business plan? Now, here's the caveat. You don't got to do a 50-page business plan. Some people will be like, oh, it's scary. It is scary. You don't have to do 50 pages. Do 3 pages, do 5 pages, do 1 page, but go through the process or the exercise of actually figuring out what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats, what is your actual product or service? How are you going to finance this thing? What do your financials look like? What's your exit strategy? These are things that people don't think about, which I encourage you and I challenge you to think about in advance. And if you're like, you know what, Andre, I'm past advance, stop right now and do it today. Latest tomorrow, I'll give you till tomorrow. But you got to stop and pause and reflect and understand what it is you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're doing it, how you plan to get it done. There's clarity there, people. That's clarity in the key. So business plan or planning is the number one takeaway if you're writing stuff down. Number two, I want you to figure out who is your target market. Who's your audience? Who are the people that you're going after? Much to what Rikki said, you're not for everybody and everybody's not for you. You know, I like to always relate this to relationships. And if you know anything about relationships, you know that, and my dad told me this when I was young, he's like, you know what, son, you know, if you're lucky, you might have a few real friends your entire life. And when you're a kid, you might, well, what? I'm friends with everybody. I'm a likable guy. But the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of people that are not your true friends. They are more mere associates. They're maybe, you know, people that are in your life for a season. But when it comes to relationship, Rikki's right. It's not for everybody. You're not, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone. Target market, target audience. A couple takeaways. Avatar. Has anybody are familiar with the term Avatar? Have you watched the movie Avatar? Yes. Well, what happens in Avatar?
Love that movie.
Right. You create this, it's almost like this virtual being, if you will, right? That is representative of a particular or ideal, I want to say customer in this context. And so what you need to do as a business owner, and this relates to niche, and this relates to clarity and planning, is you got to figure out exactly who you're actually going after. Who is the best person for you to get into a relationship with? And then once you get into that relationship where you find that person, you go through the process of what I call courting or dating. And how do we do that? We say, hey, you know what? Try a little bit of what I have to offer. You know, it's cheap. It's free. Let's date and let's see if we're a good fit for each other. Very much like dating. And then over time, right, and you go through the process, you turn it into a full-blown relationship. Oh, now we're going steady, and then later I like to coin what's called the business marriage. That's the customer that's loyal to, that sticks around and says, hey, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm committed to you. As long as you stay, being true to who you are, then you got a customer to the end. I like to reference Apple. Apple has a tendency to have a cult following, right? And that's not because they make the best hardware, software products. And matter of fact, they do not. Samsung, Android, Google, a lot of them have superior products. Same thing like McDonald's. There's a lot of restaurants that make a superior burger. But why is McDonald's still standing, this test of time? It's because they have a loyal following. They do something in a very consistent way. They have formed a relationship and furthermore, a business marriage to where people are comfortable with staying there and staying committed to them. And that's, it's a give and take relationship. That's how the thing works. And the last thing I want to talk about when I talk about clarity is testing. A lot of people like to theorize. You know what a theory is? Theorizing is saying, hey, I think people like this. Hey, I think this is going to be great. Hey, I think I'm going to be great. Instead, you need to cancel that. Cancel the theories. We're going into a mentality called hypothesis. What is hypothesis? It's testing. It's saying, hey, I think this product is what people will like. Let's try it out and see if it works. And then the market will respond to you and say, you know what? It's a dumb idea. You know what I'm saying? Great thoughts, but it just doesn't work for my particular need. So we have to do testing. And I encourage people to do testing very early on. What's an example of testing? An example of testing is if I want to make a product, and let's say this product might cost $100,000 plus, right? Instead of me actually taking $100,000 loan, building a product and theorizing that people are going to actually want it, why not create a simple landing page? Why not crowdfund? Why not rally the troops, create a community, build a buzz around people and test your hypothesis and say, hey, I'm going to create this awesome new, pencil. Would you be willing to make a deposit on this pencil? And crowdfunding is really known for doing things such as these. That's where you get these hits. Then once you prove that this thing is actually going to be something that works, clarity, right? Understanding, okay, we know who we're going after, our niche, our target, who we can form a relationship. They're so interested in this, after we tested it, they're willing to put their money down. Now we have something. Now we can take this and we can move this forward. Very, very powerful thing to have. Again, we're talking about clarity, ladies and gentlemen. Start with clarity, pause for clarity, go back and revisit clarity. A business plan is your organization's Bible, right? It's essentially a living document. It's something you have to continuously, periodically, at least once a year, go back and reference to make sure you're on the right path and on the right track. So that's my little piece about clarity. Number 2, brand story. So amazing brand story. I don't know if you've seen the infomercial or the commercial before we got here, but there's 2 parts of your mind, right? A lot of us learn this coming up in school and different things like that. There's like the rational, logical, analytical, whatever mind. And there's the emotional mind, the mind that feels, that, that cries.
The mind that buys.
Yeah, there you go. The mind that buys. I love it. Thank you. And so what does a story do? It brings those minds together. And sometimes we're on one side of the spectrum or the other, and we're forgetting that as a human being and the way our psyche works and that kind of stuff, we have to merge the two together and we have to tell our story. And for one, isn't that the whole purpose of you being a business owner, an entrepreneur? Isn't that why people want to connect with you, or would be willing to buy into what it is? Because they see that what you have or who you are is relatable. It's your why. Why do you do what you do? Like Rikki said, yeah, everybody sells cheeseburgers. Everybody sells chicken. But what makes your chicken so special? Oh, Chick-fil-A chicken is the Christian chicken. There's certain elements and components behind that where people, they're a buy-in. Like, oh, they close on Sunday. Wow, I can subscribe to that, right? I can connect to that. That's me. And people are drawn to a reflection. You know, you look in the mirror and you're like, you know, you kind of cute, you know, you fine, you know, like people like to see themselves in what it is that you have to offer. And there's a magnetism there. So again, Dr. Marie, everybody's kind of talking about this, but I'm just kind of giving that other side of it. Brand story. So let's go to movies. Any Star Wars fans out here? For lack of a better movie, you know, there's this cool thing that happens in stories. It's a formula. It's formulaic. Okay. There's like a problem, right? A challenge. So it's like, okay, you know, Darth Vader, you know, and the forces are going to come, you know, destroy the world, right? There's this challenge. And this is what's happening with your customer. They're presented with a problem. They're presented with a challenge. And guess what? You're supposed to be the guy. You're the Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're the Yoda, right? You're the person that's coming in, dropping sage wisdom. And that's what you're doing as an entrepreneur. You're saying, you know what? You got a problem. Yes, you got a challenge. You know, your life is horrible. This is a pain point for you. It sucks. You know, and guess what? I have the answer. I'm coming in as a guide to guide you to your success. And once you do that, you help that customer, you foster that. What you do is you turn that customer into Luke Skywalker, right? You turn the customer into the hero. The customer is the hero, not you. A lot of people think as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and you're giving a product or service, you think you're the it factor. I see this a lot, and I'd be remiss to not say that. It's not you. It's all about the customer. It's all about what you're doing to enable them to be successful, them to be the hero, to reign triumphant. And then, you know, we live happily ever after. And that's the story. And so what your brand story needs to do, it needs to represent all these key elements of this formula that when a customer sees or experiences what you have to offer, they say, yes, yes, and yes. If I connect with Leslie, Dr., you know, whoever it is, they're going to help me be the hero. Everybody wants to be the hero, ladies and gentlemen. It's the essence of an excellent story. And last but not least, marketing. So a lot of people talk about marketing, and marketing costs money, and it's constantly shifting, it's constantly changing. And I'm studying it too, and I'm learning, I'm taking classes and courses. And I'm like, you know what I discovered? Number one marketing tool for a small business or entrepreneur is not marketing. It's a little thing called WOM. W-O-M. What does that mean, everybody? I know you know what it means.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth, ladies and gentlemen. That's your number one marketing strategy, word of mouth. You do an excellent job as a small business owner, guess what's going to happen? They're going to refer you, they're going to tell their friends, and that kind of thing. You don't have Nike's budget, boo. You don't have Apple, Google budget. You can't spend $10 million a day throughout the galaxy to let people know that you exist. So you know what you got to do? Bootstrap, baby, which means you got to be phenomenal. You got to be persistent. You got to be consistent. You got to do an amazing job. How do we do that? That becomes the question. You have to do what's a thing that's called a customer journey. Has anybody ever heard of a customer journey?
Buyer's journey, absolutely.
Come
I
on,
teach that.
a buyer. Come on, who is this?
Everybody goes through it.
I like
nobody
you, Zach.
recognizes it.
Come
I'm
on,
glad you do.
It's a step-by-step process that's a loop, right? And it's like, oh, we give them a free magazine, you know, and they subscribe, and then we get them to buy something that's for $5, and then later we try to upsell them to our real product that's $500, and then we blow their mind. We give them way more than they expected or anticipated, and then they go and they shout out to the world how amazing that experience was. The world comes back. They want to find us. They want to know who we are, our story, what's going on, and then we get new customers, word of mouth, baby, and the cycle repeats. And what that is in a word is consistency. People want to know that the way you treat customer number one is the way how customer 1001 is going to be treated. That is the victory of McDonald's, ladies and gentlemen. I can go to any McDonald's in the United States, maybe the world. I've been at McDonald's over in like Europe or something. You know, I heard they call it different things. But it's consistent. You know, it's the same double cheeseburger. It's the same order of French fries. It might have a different name. Same Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is consistent. That's what people love. That's what people rely on. That's what people need. So you want to, in order to build your brand and you want to market, you have to have excellent word of mouth. Do a great job. You have to have implemented that customer journey, knowing every point along that thing. And then last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, you have to do what's called optimize. Optimize. What is optimize, Andre? Well, I'm glad you asked. Optimization is basically where you're looking at the numbers, you're looking at the analytics, the stats, and you're saying, you know what, if we just adjust this, we can make the customer a little bit more happy. Or if we adjust that, we can do it 20% more efficiently. Or we notice that when it gets to this part of the journey, people hate that. They cringe when they have to go through that. So there's this constant and consistent, steady optimization going on, an adjustment to get to what's called the sweet spot. And once you get to the sweet spot, you create a moat. Right? Like think you're in a castle, the castle has a moat around it and they dig the trenches and there's water and the bridge you can't get in. And once you can create a moat as a business, it makes it extremely difficult for other businesses, competitors to penetrate. And you've carved out for yourself a very specific and a unique place in
Once
the
you're
marketplace.
on that process, right, Andra, and you're the one that's they're on your boat for the buyer's journey and you're the one educating them. They're getting to know, like, and trust you on that journey. So the point is to be able to get them in the beginning and be the one that's providing that value along the way until they're ready to buy.
Absolutely. So ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, 3 things: 1, clarity; 2, brand story; 3, marketing. Use those 3 things, your branding and marketing. It's interlaced throughout all those, and you will find yourself being on a journey to much, much greater success and higher achievement. And I'd like to open the floor. I don't know if this is the time for like a Q&A or we're going to save it for the end, if there is any questions, or if not, I will humbly and excitedly pass it to Mr. Leslie Jodapris.
Oh man, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you guys. My popcorn's down to the kernels and my drink is done. What a movie. I hope you guys got a lot of value there. Listen, that was a whole lot of value. Listen, we understand the importance of branding and marketing. We understand the importance of mindfulness, understanding that your brand is you, it's who you are. We now understand that you got to have a target audience, right? You got to have some clarity. Everything happens through your story and being able to get that message across. And being able to do that, you got to know who you're targeting, right? You got to know who your customer avatar is. Break it down, who they are, where they're from, what they like, what they don't like. These are the things that Andre is talking about. Also, the testing, super important, right? Because we don't want to hypothetically do anything. We want to be able to test those things. And now, what we're going to really be talking about is the meat of it, because now that you have the foundations, you're going to want to take that content that you're creating and do what's called effective content marketing. So make sure you got your pen, make sure you got your paper. I don't got no more popcorn, I don't got no more drink, but I hope you guys still got something. Get yourself a drink, get yourself a pen and paper, because this part is super important. Right now, I'm sure you guys know the traditional marketing is becoming less and less effective, right? It's less and less effective by the minute. You just can't do what you used to do. There's no more cold calling. Everybody who doesn't recognize a number is not answering. There's no more sending mail out to nobody because they're not opening their mail, right? Everything is digital, right? So you're thinking to yourself, there has to be a better way. Well, enter content marketing. So write this quote down. Content marketing is a strategic marketing approach focused on creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience.
Cool.
And
keep talking,
ultimately,
brother. I'm loving that.
To drive profitable customer action. So let's write that down. Content marketing is a strategic marketing approach focused on creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience, and ultimately to drive profitable customer action. I'm going to actually take that quote. I'm going to put it into the content, into the chat here, so that you guys can have that, because that is, once you understand those key parts of content marketing, it makes it so much easier for you. So I went ahead and sent that in there. Actually, let me go ahead and send it to everybody. And there you go. Go ahead and store that somewhere, because that right there is going to help you big time. Let's move on. Now that we have a working definition of content marketing, let's talk about the hows, right? So instead of pitching your products and your services, you are providing truly relevant and useful content to your prospects and customers to help them solve their issues. You have to understand that every single person, potential customer of yours, has what's called a pain point or multiple pain points. And you need to know what those things are. And being able to do so, you're going to be able to be more effective in your messaging in order to make them make a decision or take a decision.
It's even a step further, right? You got to get into the head of your prospects at exactly the right time. Exactly.
And understand that your customer, your potential client, may not necessarily be ready at that moment, right? And that's okay. But you want to be consistent, you want to be relevant, and you want to know, you want to be at top of mind at all times, right? So we're going to talk about how that actually happens. So let's talk about what content marketing really is good for when it comes to the bottom line. Because sometimes people they'll hear content marketing and they won't take any action because they don't really understand the value there. So let's break down 4 key reasons. The first, at the very top, is to increase sales. The second is cost savings. It'll save you a lot of time and a lot of money providing valuable content to your audience than getting on that phone and making phone calls to people that don't know you. We had someone say, one of our visitors, one of our listeners said something that was super key. People buy from people they like, know, and trust. We'll say that again. People buy from people they like, know, and trust. If they don't like you, know you, or trust you, you're out of it. And all are just as important, so they must all be included in your strategy. The other thing is better customers who have more loyalty. That's another reason why content marketing is important. The more they view you as an authority within the niche, they're going to trust you. They're going to be more loyal to refer you versus someone else. Remember, we're all meeting marketers. Everywhere we go on YouTube, we go on Facebook, everyone's saying that someone is a marketer, right? What is the reason why they're going to come to you? Because you are an authority within the niche. You show them and you prove by your valuable and relevant content that you are the best person for them to refer. And that's really where that comes in. And the last reason is content is a profit center. Valuable content can actually become an income stream. The more valuable your content, the more you're able to build an income stream behind that content, right? So for example, if I have a PDF that I've given out for free and I've realized it's absolutely changing lives, I can literally turn that same PDF and elaborate on it and make it more an ebook, right? And that ebook now becomes a profit for me, as opposed to it also becomes your drip series, right? Exactly. And you can repurpose that content, create a video behind it. That's also going to be, an opportunity for you to generate the streams of income that you're looking for. Content is the present and the future of marketing. There's nothing that's going to outlast the past. Exactly. It is literally what you need to understand in order to keep consistent and to always stay at the top of every potential customer's mind. So let's go back and read the content marketing definition one more time. You can read it in your head. It's in the chat. You can take a look at it. But this time, I want you to remove relevant and valuable. See, that's the difference between content marketing and the other informational garbage that you're getting from companies trying to sell you. Every time someone's trying to sell you stuff, you're just skimming through their stuff because you know that A, it's not relevant to you, and it's not valuable to you. So you're just moving on past it.
Yeah.
Companies send us information all the time. It's just that most of the time it's not very relevant, it's not very valuable. And can somebody say spam? That's what makes content marketing so intriguing in today's environment of thousands of marketing messages per person every single day.
It comes back to the research to find out what you talked about earlier, which was the main problem they have, right? Because every consumer buys because of one or two. I mean, they've got a problem in their head that they don't want, and there's a solution out there they haven't found yet. And so our content is what cuts through the noise and attracts them.
Absolutely, 100%. Zach, you have hit the nail on the head. And what great content does, it's not afraid to compare and contrast what is out there versus what you're offering. There's no fear in your messaging because your messaging is highly positioned to offer what no one else can offer that potential client or customer. So regardless of what type of marketing tactics you use, content marketing should be a part of your process. Not something separate. It should not be separate. It should be incorporated within all you're doing.
It quality should come content first before you start marketing.
Absolutely. You want to be doing research beforehand. Once we have our customer avatar, like Andra said, we understand our sales process, our customer journey, right? Now we're able to start to put together content that is relevant to their needs, and we can strategically create quality content. And that's really what matters the most. So let's take a look at some of these types of marketing, right? That we've heard of. The big one is social media marketing, right? Content marketing strategy comes before your social media strategy. Because if you understand what information to put out, then people will come to you. Personally and honestly, I don't think I've made a cold call since 2017 in my business, primarily because I understood right away how valuable my content marketing is. And as a result, it's astronomically grown the amount of inbound calls that I'm getting on a regular basis.
Oh, it'll explode a business.
Absolutely.
If you get this 100%. Right, if you get strong, powerful messaging that relates directly to your client's problems, watch out. Your business will just catch fire.
Absolutely. And that is what I've seen, Zach. Honestly, that is exactly what I saw in my personal business. It just exploded to the point where, I have to turn people down. Like we've said earlier, it's okay to turn some customers down because ultimately, if they're not at that level in which you can help them, then maybe there's someone else better suited to assist them at that moment. The next type of marketing is SEO. We hear that term all the time, SEO. That term stands for search engine optimization. It's one of the most important aspects for you getting organic traffic to your website. Not paid traffic, but organic traffic. Think Zach has a comment?
Content.
Yes.
Then it sings, right? You have to have the content with the messaging first to set those keywords for your SEO.
Exactly. So without good and quality content marketing, your SEO is null and void.
Garbage. Yeah.
Someone can come to the site just because you maybe have had the right meta tags and H1 tags and photo tags, but when it comes to the content, they're not going to stay. And so the goal is for us to get people to consume our content and to fall in love with what we're putting out. The more and more you can get people to fall in love with your content, the more they're going to view you as an authority and always want to come back to you. The next type of marketing is PR. Successful PR strategies should address issues readers care about, not their businesses. And so what is PR? It's a press release. It's public relations. So how do we incorporate that? Well, again, it's all about understanding the issues out there, being able to put that message in a way that resonates to the potential customer in order for them to take action. The next type of marketing is PPC. We hear it, you go on Google, you put something in Google, you get a bunch of these ads, right? Now, in most cases, I see a lot of people doing PPC improperly, because when someone does give you their name, email, and potential phone number through that PPC campaign, it needs to be followed up with something. It's not just, hey, I have your name and number now, and I'm just going to keep calling you. That's annoying. And we get all annoyed by it. And that's why we all give the email that we never open up, or we give the phone number and we know that if we don't recognize that number, we're not going to answer. It's because the person is not taking the right steps in order to really put the great content first after they've gotten your contact information. The next type of content marketing is inbound marketing. And this is my favorite. Content is key to driving inbound traffic and leads. What I do is I normally will put out valuable content, whether it be a blog post or whether it be a PDF, and we'll kind of talk about some of that, what that content is. We'll kind of give you a list of what content can be, so that way you understand there are many ways to create what's called inbound marketing. You're basically creating a problem that you know the customer has, you're speaking about it through your story, and you're giving someone in the end a solution to that problem, and then you're giving them a call to action, right? So the problem, right? The solution, call to action. And you're using your story in order to do that. And the last is content strategy. Content strategy is pretty much it all in one. Everything that you put out, everything from your emails to your PDFs to your guide, your how-to guides, all of that is your content. But you need a strategy on how that's going to look for your customer, right? What types of steps are you taking in order to get them to not just see you as so for example, in digital marketing, marketing is such a big, it's so huge, right? There's so many ways to market that if I just sending out content about web design, then they're not going to view me as an expert in content. And if I'm only sending information about content, what if they need a website? Then they're not going to view me as an expert in content in web design. So you really need to look at your customer as a whole and be able to put that all together so that they can see you as an expert within the field. Now, I want to share with you a quick graphic. So I'm going to share my screen here with you, and so that way you can see this graphic that I have here. If you could allow sharing for me. All right, let me go ahead and share. Or let me see, share screen, share. All right. Do you guys see this graphic here? It's a little bit
like the buyer's journey.
I hope you guys can see it.
I mean,
you guys see that okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Think of your content marketing as a football field. It starts off on one side, you have your visitors, and on the other side, you have your evangelists. That is the people who love you. They're your passionate subscribers. And you want to be able to move your customers through this field, right? In order so that they can become your die-hard fans. And really, it starts with them as number one. They start as your leads. And as a lead, you want to start to create brand awareness. And then it moves to step number two. You want to be able to convert them where they're a lead. So now you're converting them using high value content onto those opportunities that are there for your customer to really see that there's opportunities for them to take advantage of. They now become they've now become converted into a customer after you presented them with a call to action that is clear for them to take action.
Nice.
Now you have a customer. But what did we hear before? We heard that your best customer is your current customer. If we take care of our current customers, we're going to get that referral business, that word of mouth, which we talked about. If you have a customer and you're not nurturing that customer, it's very unlikely that they're going to refer your business, right? And so how are we doing that? Through customer service and retention. You're nurturing them. providing satisfaction, and you're also giving them an opportunity to learn more about the other services that you might offer that could help them through their process. As a business owner, we're all going through a process. We're all growing gradually. And if someone can have that sense of appreciation for your walking with them through the process, they're more likely to want to refer your services out.
Well, you're talking about the buyer's journey and
the buyer's journey,
like and trust as they go on this journey, and whether they're prospects or clients, they're getting different, congruent messaging value add in either a drip series that can include phone calls, text message, emails, etc. along that process. The only point of clarification, I would use risk reversal to go from prospect to conversions.
Absolutely. We'll give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about what that is in our Q&A section. That way, if anybody doesn't understand what that is, you can kind of break that down for them. But let's kind of go into what makes a passionate subscriber, right? Or a passionate customer. A passionate customer is essentially one that you've nurtured, you've cared for, and that one that you continue to provide value to beyond the dollar. And so what happens is sometimes businesses will get the sale and all of a sudden they no longer want to provide value. And ultimately, you won't have an evangelist. You might have someone that appreciated your service, but you won't really have an evangelist. And that's what you're looking to build. And so take a picture of this, snapshot it on your phone, and remember that there's a process that needs to take place in order to really get the results that you're looking for. There's also, Zach has mentioned it a little bit, and a lot of people fail. I don't know can you guys still see my screen? Did I unshare?
No, it's not shared now.
Okay, let me go ahead and share that.
By the way, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm all about content marketing.
Absolutely. Content is so important. It's one of the biggest driving forces for my business. And so I always want to share things that are working, as opposed to just anything. So I want you guys to take a look at this graph. Now, content is not very difficult. Before we go over this graph, and then I'll let you guys go, I want you guys to write down this list of types of content, because I think sometimes we get so bombarded and we think social media posts is like the only thing, and it's not. Okay, so I want you guys to write this list down. It's not what's on the far left column of this chart, but I'm going to speak this out to you and write some of these things down so that you understand the types of content that is working today. The number one form of content that is getting engagement and getting people to interact is video. So I want you to write that down. So there's video, there's PDFs, there's spreadsheets, there are lists, how-to guides, calendars, plans, recordings, examples of podcasts, there's blog posts, email newsletters, infographics, ebooks, and white papers is another example of that, reports, case studies, and last but not least, social media posts. And I put social media posts at the end because that's what people gravitate to. And I want you to understand that there's so much more content that you could be providing your customers. And how are we doing that? Well, according to studies, when it comes to B2C content marketers, they say that nurturing their audiences is primarily done via email. If you look, 80% of successful B2C marketers are using emails as the number one way to market when it comes to nurturing their audience. Now, you might be able to capture somebody because you put out a video, sure. But when it comes to nurturing, when it comes to providing information on a consistent basis, meaning while you're sleeping, you're able to produce, you're able to put out content. Most of this is being done via email. I can tell you that every time I've spoken to someone and they have said, hey, I have this for you. What do we all say? Hey, go ahead and send me an email. So much of us feel like we're not reading emails, but to be honest with you, you are. You are reading them. You're reading them from people you're expecting them from. And I want you guys to understand that so many marketers are failing here. I can promise you that every single marketer or business owner, because I consider if you're a business owner, you're a marketer. I'm just a professional marketer. That's my expertise. But every small business owner I meet is a marketer to me. And so I can't tell you how many people I meet who fail at the simplest sales funnel, which is a lead capture to an email marketing, nurturing campaign onto providing more value. Because through the email, you're going to provide the video, you're going to provide the PDF, the spreadsheets, the guides, the plans, the recordings. That's how people view you as an authority. When they consistently open their email and they see something from you that is of high value, they're going to say, you know what? This person is important. This person knows what they're talking about. Not what they see on social media. Social media is only but a snapshot of your ability to provide valuable content to your customer. So of course, there's other aspects of nurturing, right? We see the column here. Go ahead and take a snapshot of your screen if you may, but we don't need to really go into it because I want you guys to understand the number one place that people are failing is because they do not have a proper email marketing campaign to keep at the top of mind of their customers. And some people might say, oh, well, that's B2C. I'm a B2B type of guy. Well, let's take a look.
It's both.
Let's 100%. Take a look to see what's the top for B2B. Look at this. 87% of B2B marketers, in order to nurture their audience, is using email marketing as well. This is factual information. These are benchmarks known across the industry. And if you ask any growing business, that is what they're using. So all in all, ladies and gentlemen, what I want you to get out of this is that you have the ability in order to change the way your potential customers view you by creating high quality, valuable, and relevant content in a consistent manner. Don't forget, spend some time once you've gotten the foundations that Andre has spoke about and that Rikki has spoke about and that Marie has spoken about, that you start to implement quality content to your customers. Otherwise, what winds up happening is you're just one of a few. You're not standing out. So without further ado, I want to thank everybody for joining. As I said, I'm down to the kernels and I got nothing else to drink. So that was a movie. You guys got a whole lot of value there and I appreciate you guys. We're going to open up the floor to answer any questions you guys have and also to help anybody who needs any elaboration, because it looks like we got another pro in our audience. Zach, you're awesome. Thank you so much for being so helpful in your ability to help deliver this message.
Yeah, man, you're the first person I've really heard hit content strategically like that. And I agree. What you were talking about at the end is follow-up, and businesses just don't do it. I talk to business owners all the time and like, yeah, I need to do that, but I don't. So it's really because if you have a big hammer, then it can take, 100 to 200 messages. If you have a sharper nail, it still takes between 5 to 12, touch points before people engage or don't. And if you only reach out twice, guess what? Right?
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Big part of the puzzle right there.
Absolutely. It takes anywhere between 3 to 30 times for someone to come across your brand and your call to action before they take action. So just imagine that the next time you think that your video should have gotten the conversions, or your email, that one email you sent out should have gotten the conversion. It just doesn't work that way. We are harder people to sell to. We are harder people to get the message across, and being consistent. And again, like Zach said, understanding those numbers is going to really help you get the results you're looking for.
I've got a question for you. And this is really about the difference between working with a client who's actually dealing with your end customer as opposed to working with a client who's actually doing the B2B. How do you actually create a brand that actually attracts a B2B but is still relevant to the end customer?
So it comes back to every prospect, whether it's a business or a consumer, has a problem that they don't want, and there's a solution they haven't found. So it's about doing the research, and it can take months to do this research, but you literally dig, peel the onion back, and you figure out what's at the core issue of that business, what their problem is with getting that service. And you fix that problem and you call it out. That's your content. And I would take it a step further than Leslie, and I'd love to connect with you offline about this, but once you figure that out, it becomes the identity of that either business or line of business within. And all of your marketing kind of flows from there. I have a conversion formula that I teach that follows that. But yeah, it's figuring out that pain point or that problem specifically for that industry, and then diving in with calling out the problem and the solution.
Okay.
Absolutely, Mike. That is exactly what I was going to say, Zach. Fantastic way to explain that. Behind every business is a customer. Behind every business, there's a customer. So there's really no difference between a B2B and a B2B and a B2C. And once you understand that there is no difference between a B2B and a B2C, you'll be more likely able to get the results that you're looking for, because you want to nurture a B2B customer just as much as you want to nurture a B2C customer.
Right.
All right. Everybody, thank you so much. Thank you for all the value that have been brought. Despite the technical challenge that we did have, we really thank everybody, all the participants and all the contributors. I know that we went overboard in the time we first placed, but we started like 30 minutes late. So if we could have started at 11, as we said, and then would have been good. So we appreciate you staying till the end. Thank you so much. I know some people have posted already that they're leaving, so I wanted to kind of say thank you before they leave. And then if you still have questions and you want to ask those questions before we can conclude our meeting, please feel free to go ahead and do that. And you can go ahead and put your email, put your information in the chat, and then whoever has the ability to save the chat, please do so before we can cut this one. But I feel like we should come back again with this meeting. I don't know how you guys feel, but I believe that we should bring this meeting again for there are people who couldn't attend. They had some technical issues. I had myself technical issues. So I feel like if you are willing, we can come back again. We just have to plan again with the contributors.
Yeah, I'm willing to, present or contribute too. Maybe Leslie and I could tag team something. I don't know.
Fantastic. Yeah, I did hear you. There is a lot of information, a lot of values that you're bringing. We thank you that you were able to not just shut down, but listen and contribute. So yeah, we will consider bringing you on the next platform as well. So we'll talk about it.
I know you and I had a little back and forth about branding and marketing, right? And but I think I kind of hit the head on your branding, and like Rikki was talking about, that's kind of the identity of the business, right? And I agree with you that the culture, values, all those things, building out the mission, all of that's crucial to your identity. But I just take it a step further. That leads into what I call the market dominating position, right? And so that's why I'm coming with marketing is first before branding, is because you incorporate branding in what I'm doing with the mission, vision, values, and market dominating position. So it's just different ways to call a similar, the same thing.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you very much. Anybody else has a question before we can call it a day?
No, I appreciate the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the participation, and the discussion was great. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll keep in touch.
Take care, guys.
Everybody.
Have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.